Let me tell you something a little unsettling. Every single person watching this is right now about 3 days away from a total biological collapse. It's easy to think of ourselves as solid, permanent, but the reality is we're little more than walking bags of water. And when that water starts to disappear, your body doesn't just stop. Oh no, it goes into a gruesome, macabre survival mode.
3. That's the number. That's the number that really governs our existence. It's the entire window between life and what is considered one of the most drawn-out and agonizing ways to die. Yep, you can go about 3 weeks without food, but without water, you'd be lucky to make it 3 days. And this isn't some peaceful shutdown. We're talking about your own body systematically dismantling itself. It's a slow-motion transformation that can make a living person look like a leather-wrapped skeleton even before their heart stops beating.
So to really get why this collapse is so incredibly fast and so brutal, we have to first understand what we're actually made of. And the answer might surprise you.
Take a look at this. It really reframes everything, doesn't it? We're not solid matter, we're containers. About 60, maybe 70% of our entire body weight is just water. It's what regulates our temperature, moves nutrients around, keeps our joints lubricated. It is quite literally the fluid of life.
And this really hammers home our fundamental fragility. Every single thing our body does, from having a thought to taking a breath, it all depends on this fluid being there. The moment it starts to disappear, the system doesn't just get a little weak, it turns on itself.
And this whole descent, it starts way sooner and much more quietly than you'd probably think. These first signs aren't just minor annoyances. They're the first blaring alarm bells of a full-on biological crisis.
I mean, just look at this chart. Even a mild water loss, just 1 to 2%, that's when you're maybe just starting to feel thirsty, is enough to crater your attention and your mood. And as you can see, it gets worse fast, escalating to memory problems, confusion, and eventually straight-up delirium and hallucinations. Your brain is 75% water. It feels the drop almost immediately.
So think about this. That dull, throbbing headache you get when you're dehydrated, that isn't just some vague pain. As the fluid that cushions your brain starts to evaporate, the organ itself physically contracts. It shrinks and pulls away from the inside of your skull, tugging on all those sensitive membranes. That's what you're feeling. Your brain is literally shrinking.
And at the exact same time, your circulatory system is in total crisis. Without enough water, your blood loses its flow and turns into this thick, viscous sludge. This makes your heart have to pump way, way harder, sometimes twice as hard, just to shove that sludgy blood around to get oxygen to your already struggling organs.
Now, as you cross into that second and third day, the body's survival programming becomes, well, terrifyingly ruthless. It enters a state of what you could call tactical mutiny, sacrificing its own parts just to protect the absolute core.
Your body starts making some very calculated, very brutal decisions. First, it orders the kidneys to just stop producing urine, desperately reabsorbing every single drop of water. That's why your urine turns dark. It's a sign the first sacrifice has been made. But that's not enough. So the body begins this process of internal harvesting, literally pulling water directly from your own skin and your own cells.
And this is where the real physical horror begins. As water is stolen from your cells, your eyes start to sink back into their sockets. Your lips shrivel up completely. Your gums recede so much that your teeth stick out, almost like a skeleton's. Your skin, with no moisture left, can turn black and feel like dough. At this point, you're often so dry that if you got a cut, you wouldn't even bleed.
But as truly gruesome as all that physical decay is, the most terrifying part of all this isn't what happens to your body. It's what happens to your mind. So as your electrolyte balance completely fails, the electrical signals in your brain just go haywire. The visual cortex, the part of your brain that processes sight, becomes hyperexcitable. Your brain starts creating its own waking nightmare, vivid, terrifying hallucinations. The documented cases are absolutely chilling. People report seeing these strange masked figures coming toward them or hearing music that isn't there. Some even get command hallucinations, where their own misfiring brain starts telling them what to do. This explains why so many people who get lost in the desert are found having done completely irrational things, like taking off all their clothes. Their mind has, for all intents and purposes, physically dissolved.
If you want a real-life example of just how extreme this gets, look at the story of Mauro Prosperi. He was an endurance athlete who got lost in the Sahara for 10 days. To stay alive, he had to resort to drinking his own urine and the blood of bats he caught in a shrine. When they finally found him, his liver was nearly destroyed. His body was so ravaged it took him 2 full years to recover. It's just a harrowing, real-world example of that brutal rule of threes.
So after hearing all of that, you'd think the solution is simple, right? Just drink as much water as possible all the time. But there's one last paradoxical twist in the science of hydration that can be just as deadly.
This slide really lays it out. These are two completely opposite paths that lead to the same fatal end. With dehydration, your brain cells shrink and pull away from the skull. But with overhydration, or hyponatremia, they do the opposite. They swell up, pressing your brain against the inside of your skull.
This is what's known as water intoxication. If you chug way too much water too quickly, you dilute the sodium levels in your blood. This catastrophic imbalance causes water to flood into your cells, swelling your organs, especially your brain and lungs. This can cause seizures, a coma, and a very, very rapid death.
And here it is, the ultimate tragic irony. In their desperate effort to avoid the horrors of dehydration that we just talked about, more endurance athletes today actually die from drinking too much water than from not drinking enough. It's just a stark, shocking reminder of how incredibly finely tuned our bodies are.
The truth is, we are all walking a biological tightrope every single day. Too little water, and your body dismantles itself. Too much, and it drowns from the inside out. Life exists only in that fragile, narrow window of balance. The only question is, are you respecting it?